Yeah, look, I mean, I think the starting point for this is the Alex Pretty shooting. It's the fact that we don't even know who pulled the trigger. We know the name of two officers. We don't know which one did it. And what has happened with that? Nothing. We don't know that anything has happened with that. So, but when you look at, look, I'm effectively a civil libertarian on these issues. It worries me that there is some echoes to go into history of COINTELPRO, of the very beginnings of COINTELPRO. Actually, what happened with COINTELPRO was that they were going and disrupting things much later, and they were attacking groups and, disinformation. But these early stages of these broad things, there's an environmental group in this, but to the point that you made, is that there was an attack on an ICE facility, and it was people with Kevlar vests on, and there was an ICE officer shot during this. This stuff is real.
Separate from Minnesota.
That was in Texas. For sure. Texas. Yeah. But that kind of stuff is very real. Do I think from this, and let's be critical of the New York Times here, this was the beginning of a story without the specifics to understand where did they overstep, to Noah's point. There was a lot of suggestive stuff in this, but you can't really tell from that story.
Mainstream of the country, which doesn't want to see people ripped out of communities who've been here for 20 years, have never committed any offenses other than being here.
I mean, that's the basic point. As Noah said, I mean, I saw the same YouGov poll. It's replicated a million times over, is that people, and polls that say that people want immigration enforcement. It was his most popular issue, and then he was underwater on it. How on earth does that happen? Well, it's how it's deployed and how ICE is deployed. And look at what independents think about ICE. 20% approval rating with independents? That's...
What do you make of the rise of the Democratic Socialists?
How long do we have? We have 2 or 3 hours.
33 seconds.
Well, I will say one thing is that I live in New York City, and when J.D. Vance says, people who are down on their luck are the people that support socialism, not here, my friend. It's Park Slope. It's people that have degrees in Danish puppet theater who live in Park Slope. Those are the people who support socialism here. Look, I get where he's going. I'm not surprised by it. If you follow the trajectory of J.D. Vance's very odd ideological path from being a neocon working for David Frum at one point to where he is now, I mean, he is a guy who wrote for Commentary Magazine at one point. He is a guy now that is, working for an administration that now has stakes in 30 private companies. How conservative is that from the conservatism that I knew? I don't identify as a conservative. I'm much more libertarian. And this is a thing that offends libertarians because they're already doing it, and it's not good.
Sure. You are a New York resident. I don't know if you're in AOC's district, if you live in there, but you're close. No. What do you make of the fact that she has already begun the distancing process, right? Yesterday, sort of making a joke about
didn't go to bat for Francesca Hong.
Nor did Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders. What do you make of that?
Bernie Sanders. I mean, look, the whole thing when she goes on the ABC show this week with Jonathan Karl and says, well, woke 1.0 was a bit much. You think it was? Okay, what particularly? Well, she wasn't asked that follow-up question. She should have been. But why is she saying that? Because she was involved in woke 1.0. And I love that it's like software now. It got an update to 2.0.
Well, that's the obvious
now we don't want to defund the police. But no one is asking the follow-up questions. Okay, do you believe in defunding the police, abolishing the Senate, abolishing Thanksgiving, all these absurdities? But she is running away from that for a reason, because she has higher aspirations. Anybody that has higher aspirations has to walk away from this stuff. What does that tell you about the American electorate? Something that's a bit reassuring, I have to say.
What do you think?
I mean, look, I agree with Noah on all these. I would add cases to this. I mean, I sat down with John Bolton and I asked him, even if you did something wrong, had you not written that book? And he said it would never have happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure about, I don't count Bolton in this list because that investigation actually existed during the Biden
administration.
But they didn't bring charges.
But they didn't bring charges in the verve with which Donald Trump went after this.
Oh, he loved it.
He loved it so much because he hated Bolton so much. I mean, these are clearly political. Now, as you pointed out, the letter of this, I read it, I watched it. Good speech, right?
Absolutely.
It's a good speech.
If only it rang true.
You said the right words.
I believe it?
You said the right words.
Well, you have that tension all of a sudden of AGs previous that have not pleased Donald Trump from Jeff Sessions on up. And what happens if he does believe it? Is he going to last very long? I highly doubt it. He's going to have to be someone who's a very wily political operator to stay in that job if he does what he said today. And I doubt it's true.
Mike?
I mean, this is the classic dog bites man story. Donald Trump is being psychotic. and a narcissist and talking about things to distract from all the problems in his presidency. Yes, we know that. It's not surprising to me at all. I mean, everything that Alyssa said, I co-sign, and there's nothing more to add.
Sure. Michael, who would you prefer? If you had to vote for a Republican, who would you prefer?
Why are you doing this to me? Come on, man. Can they both fail? If I had to, gun to the head, I would say Rubio. Yeah.
Okay, why?
Because I loathe J.D. Vance when it comes to, particularly on economic policy, that kind of post-liberalism, that kind of populism. It is anathema to everything that I believe in my bones, and I don't trust them in any way.